Story 1: The Basement Wall. In 2022, a team of renovation workers was sent to restore parts of the old White House basement before the rumored expansion project. This area had been sealed for decades, containing portions of original 19th century brickwork and tunnels that ran beneath the structure. As they began removing sections of an old wall, one of the workers, Miguel, discovered a hollow cavity behind it. Inside was a small, rotted wooden box. The box contained several things: a rusted key, a lock of human hair, and a folded letter that read simply, "Never unseal the foundation." The supervisor laughed it off as an old superstition and continued the work. But that night, Miguel stayed behind to finish early. Around midnight, the air grew colder. He heard slow footsteps echoing from the far tunnel. Thinking it was security, he called out, but the sound didn't stop. It grew closer until he saw something moving in the shadows. A tall, faintly glowing figure appeared, its face half-burned, eyes hollow, hands blackened as if from soot. It pointed at the broken section of the wall and whispered something that echoed like a growl. "Put it back." Miguel ran out of the basement and never returned the next morning. The other workers found that the bricks he had removed were somehow neatly stacked back into the wall, perfectly aligned. The hollow cavity was gone. That section of the basement was permanently sealed afterwards. A few months later, the renovation plan changed. No one was allowed to touch the foundation again. Story 2: The Shadow Behind the Fence. In 2025, rumors spread online that parts of the White House grounds were being secretly demolished for a classified underground expansion. Dozens of night shift security guards confirmed heavy construction noises after midnight, sounds of drilling, rumbling, and faint metallic clanging coming from beneath the south lawn. One security guard, Tony, said that during his rounds he saw something that haunted him forever. At around 2 a.m., while patrolling near the construction site, he noticed movement behind the temporary steel fence. A tall, thin figure in a worker's helmet was standing motionless in the shadows. Thinking it was one of the laborers, Tony called out, but there was no response. He walked closer, and suddenly the floodlight flickered. The figure began to move, not walking, but gliding slowly toward him. Tony stepped back, yelling, but then realized the man's face wasn't human. It looked melted, with eyes like black holes. The creature leaned against the fence and whispered, "You shouldn't dig here." When Tony blinked, the figure vanished. Moments later, all the floodlights went out, and the ground beneath him trembled. He ran back to the security office, panicked, but when he reported it, the supervisors told him there was no construction scheduled that night. Weeks later, a quiet news report mentioned that part of the underground expansion had been delayed due to unexpected geological instability. But those who worked nearby said that at night you could still hear hammering beneath the lawn and a deep, echoing voice saying, "Don't open what's buried." Tony quit his job that month. The next day, his badge was found on the construction fence, snapped in half. Story 3: The Blueprint That Shouldn't Exist. In 2024, during an early-stage proposal for the White House restoration and expansion project, a group of contracted engineers were assigned to examine the original blueprints of the White House dating back to the early 1800s. The goal was to scan and digitally preserve them before the new construction phases began. But during that process, one engineer named Harold found a rolled-up parchment tucked inside a false compartment in the old West Wing storage room. The document was extremely fragile, stained with what looked like rust. When they unrolled it, they were shocked it was a demolition plan. But this wasn't any recent architectural sketch. It was signed and dated June 1863. What made it even stranger was the detail-precise modern structural annotations that couldn't possibly exist in the 19th century. At first, the team thought it was a prank, but when they scanned the sheet, the computer malfunctioned. The lights flickered, the scanner emitted a loud pop, and the digital file corrupted instantly. On the screen, instead of the scanned plan, a distorted image appeared, a skeletal structure of the White House surrounded by what looked like shadowy figures. After that night, Harold began experiencing vivid dreams, always the same. He'd see the White House in flames, collapsing inward. And in the fire's glow stood a figure in an old military uniform, whispering something he couldn't understand. When Harold brought the parchment back for another examination, it was gone. In its place was a single piece of paper with words scrawled in red ink. "It can never be rebuilt again." 2 weeks later, Harold left the project permanently, saying he couldn't work in that building anymore. His last message to his co-workers was short and unsettling. "There's something under the White House they never told us about."